Have you been doing now? I guess you've been recording obviously these last four compositions, and the fourth installment will be finalized next year. Are you looking to the future, Bill? Are Do you do a lot with electronic drums, or is that something that's in your scope? Is it something that interests you?
Sure. As a matter of fact, there's a recording coming out that's going back to. I mean, I've been back there. This is going back to the future because I started with electronic drums in
Right.
1968,
Yeah. I guess. Right. Yeah.
and I stopped when it was at a point of frustration when I couldn't even get the on-off switch to turn on or turn off, and that was maybe about 30 years ago. And I said, no, I'm going to go into the acoustic drum set thing to because there's a lot of questions I have,
Right.
still do.
Yeah.
But since then, within the last, I'd say 5, 6 years, Yamaha did
Alesis.
Alesis,
Yeah.
Roland especially,
Yeah.
they've all come up with some pretty nice things, and they're consistent. And my point right now is that I'm even working with the Zen drum at this
Oh,
point,
wonderful.
which is
Yeah.
a yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a bunch of things, and you can see my drum set. I mean, you'll see my drum sets now, or it started with my PHX when I was still with Yamaha.
Right.
I had my Yamaha pads, and it's continued. That was last year.
Yeah.
Now we're into the Yamaha pads and the Tama drums,
Right.
and the command and the Zen drum. And it's funny because, as a matter of fact, I have something I'm going to begin to use now.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. It's. I think you might have seen this before. Have you ever seen this?
Yeah. I have
Okay,
actually.
that's coming.
Cool.
Again, it's like sequences. Starting the show with this, working with this, and then playing against it. Looping loops and stuff like that, and playing against them. When you listen to the March of the Pomegranates, I wrote that, and then all of that's been sampled, and so I play against it,
Right.
And just play drum set and solo inside and out of it,
Yeah.
and things like this. And then I insert that into the show, and then my band comes in, and we play that live.
Cool.
So it makes a transition and bridges between the sequential and the human and factors, and we go back and forth. And to me, it's just a beginning, finally, for me to set a kind of a pace. Because I'm just composing things on the fly and coming up with ideas that I feel are very much representative of where I am now.
Right. Right.
And that's important.
Yeah. Which actually that leads me to my next question. I'm often curious because I know for you, that Spectrum was such a huge. It was a calling card for you in that Mahavishnu was on its way out,
Mm-hmm.
and there was something that you could have that people would benchmark for you.
Yeah.
What does it? Is there ever for you any sort of desire to consider that, okay, let's measure this album against Spectrum or do that? Or is Spectrum for you something that's like, okay, you know what, that was the past, that's the way that happened, and are
Mm-hmm.
you comfortable with leaving that as, it's where it stands, it's what it is, and there's nothing more I can say about that?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it creep in that sometimes, oh, well, I wonder what this is like, the comparison. I mean, everyone makes the comparison to Spectrum. Do you
Well,
ever?
I think it's the same for me because I'm back playing the whole record again.
Right.
With Dean Brown. Actually, we played in Canada, but we didn't come to the Maritimes. We played in Toronto. We played in Ottawa, I think, and we played in Quebec.
Oh, nice.
Quebec, and the band's called Spectrum 40,
Okay.
and that record is due out in January.
Nice.
And we play Quadrant 4, Spectrum, Lily, To the Women in My Life, which is now not just an introduction to the lead, but it's a complete standalone piece.
Right.
What else? Red Baron,
Yeah.
and Red Baron, yeah. So we do all of that. We don't play Tori and Matador,
Okay.
but everything else we play.
Yeah.
New arrangements.
Yeah, I heard the Spectrum one was really unique.
Yeah, and that what's happening with that is that, again, it's inside now quadrant 4. So it's quadrant 4, all the way up. Play a solo, start the 7 Spectrum, and we end with quadrant 4.
Nice.
At the end.
Nice.
So it's like bookending the 7/4 piece. It's changed, and again, it's not the same. This is something that I would never play with Lee Sklar.
Right.
I wouldn't, and I couldn't. I can't. I don't know. Maybe by now, had he lived, and I would have loved to have heard that, Tommy Bolin play it now.
Yeah.
Because he was so. Tommy, Amy Winehouse, Hendrix, they had so much information that it was kind of compressed. And as far as I'm concerned, until they did it, and then they were gone.
Right.
And all at the same age of 27.
Crazy.
Somebody go figure. But that's a funny part about it. And what Tommy did at that time in 1973, it's still difficult for people to play now.
Right.
Because they hear so many more notes.
Yeah.
And he played it as if he was like sitting down and hooked on the elbow of James Cotton or Muddy Waters or something. He just played all the notes that made sense.
Yeah.
That's all he needed to play. And everybody else, it gave you a chance to think about things.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he just made an amazing statement. It's like listening to Paul Simon sing the United States national anthem without the embellishments.
Right.
It is the purest, most melodic, most musical thing I've ever heard anyone do with that composition. It's just amazing. No embellishments, just straight out, beautiful tone.
No ego.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no one has to do anything more. There's no need, because it's such a beautiful piece already.
Yeah.
How about this? How would we just sing this? Yeah. and that's just happened to those guys. You know? It's beautiful.
Yeah. You obviously, I mean, you've been in Switzerland for a long time, and it must be a huge amount of influence for you in that country. What was your decision, Billy, to move to Switzerland?
Study,
yeah.
Not go to school and study in an institution with 4 walls.
Right.
The institution is without walls. It's all around us.
Yeah.
And what I realize is that, let's say for me, the same thing would happen if I came to Halifax. I can only play music that is relative to what's going on there.
Right.
By living there for a few years.
Yes.
It's just not, you just don't walk in and take over. No way.
No.
It's something that you have to live and experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
Yeah.
And all of us, and it's the same place anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere. You don't lose what you have. You just add to it.
Right.
And because, it gives you a feeling, I know why they play like this, I know where Zydeco came from,
Right.
And all of this, you start to go, wow, man, that's amazing. If you throw in all of these little ingredients into the recipe, voila, man, you end up with, a whole heavy kind of jambalaya that's they say started down in Louisiana in the lowlands. No. When you go back and you see the history, you go, okay, I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
And it only helps you to play better because you understand the history. You understand where it's coming from and why you do what you do.
Right.
And when you do that, it brings out the real personality.
Wonderful. And
so you have to study. You have to go where that happens.
Right. And for you, that obviously, so there must be quite a mass amount of lesson, or not lessons, stimulation in Switzerland.
Well, it's not Switzerland. It's living here.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about it last night. How many people in the village, in the town? We have less than 4,000 people in our town
Right.
total. And we went, wow, it's grown,
Yeah.
But oh, you're back.
There we go.
Okay. So it's like what happens is that this is a point, as I feel, it's kind of like a safety valve.
Right.
This is where you live. This is not where you play.
Right. Okay.
Not you. Yeah, occasionally, every few years, there's a little bit of a tour of the country, but you can blow through Switzerland and play five. Well, you can play about 12 concerts in Switzerland, and be done in about 3 weeks. That's it. I mean, there's nothing here.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. You do that and you leave. But what's really, really special and what's really important is to establish your relationship in Italy, Austria, France, Germany. Okay? Because Switzerland is in the middle of those 4 countries.
Right.
Okay. Yes, you have Liechtenstein, but let's not discuss that. It's so it's like come on, you might as well be in the Faroe Islands.
Right.
Or you can go north, just get to the border of France, and all of a sudden you're in the Pays-Bas, or in the lowlands of Europe, which is Holland, Belgium, and Luxembourg.
Right.
So I mean, and it just branches out that way. And the thing about it is that you could probably put all of Western Europe in Canada about 5 times, man. Canada is so big.
Yeah.
But we're talking about all in Western Europe. I'd say you're dealing with about 300 or 400 million people in total.
Yes.
In different countries. And Canada's 15 million now, 20 million?
Something like that. Yep. The population of California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the population in California is 120 million.
Yeah, so that's all of Canada.
No, I'm sorry. No. You're wrong. I'm wrong. That's Japan.
Yeah.
It's the size of California, but it has 120 million people
there you
in
go.
it.
Yeah. Our population is the same as the state of California.
Yeah, you're right. But we're talking about a situation where, and it's like being it's all the states or the provinces of Canada where everyone speaks a different language.
Right. Yeah.
A serious dialect. I mean, and in Germany alone, the dialects are so radical from the north to the south.
Right.
That it is also reflected in the music.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to absorb, and I just in the near 80, so it's about now it's about 34, 35 years of being here.
Yep.
I've absorbed a drop in the bucket, man.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny bit.
So no plans to move back stateside anytime soon?
No, I don't feel I have to. I'm so established or in my mindset.
Yeah.
To be here. I actually came this close to moving to to Toronto just because this was back in 1978, 79.
Wow.
And I just couldn't get my head wrapped around in the music of with what they called disco at the time, with a bunch of guys going in the Navy.
Yeah. Oh,
That
those
was-
guys.
Yeah, it was way out of line for me.
Yeah.
And I started. I was recording it. I can't remember the studios that I was recording in at the time, but I was really seriously trying to figure out would this be right for me? I'd be close enough to the States. And I realized I just can't. I have to draw the line because I knew then that Canada and the United States were having serious difficulties in terms of borders and this and that and taxes and blah, blah, blah. I went, no, I don't need this. And I don't know. I went on a tour with my band in Western Europe somewhere. We started in Switzerland, and about 6 weeks later of working 6 nights every week, in a different town, hey, what could I say, man? I just decided, okay,
Yeah.
can't turn this down. Let me just see what's around here since I'm to understand better what's going on. And one, I thought I'd stay for 6 weeks. Next thing you know, or it was 3 months. And next thing you know, it was 6 months. And next thing you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know what one thing about you that I see through your playing and through a lot of things, any interviews I've ever seen with you is that I mean your life is kind of your canvas. You seem to reflect in your music the things about your life that are good or bad or not either, just kind of are. Um, and I know specifically for you the process is, I mean, very similar to a lot of artists, where you've just continually working, and the product, quote unquote, comes later when you're ready to put something together. What what influence have some of I mean, you've worked with some prolific players, guys like Gabriel, Miles Davis. How did they influence your creative process, or did they? I mean, or are you do you have a process in mind, or what did you take away from those artists?
Miles gave me the opportunity to understand that I needed to be responsible for the mistakes I made,
Wow.
and that mistakes were not necessarily mistakes, but an indication of what I heard that could turn into something rather personal in the future if I analyzed it properly and made use of the situation.
Yeah.
Uh, but to take responsibility, not be afraid to make a mistake,
Yeah.
understand that it was a mistake, or if it was not intentional. But think about it. Maybe there is a direction to go in.
Right.
May not be right then, but don't ever lose the idea.
Right.
You know, and you hone your craft. You stop and you think. You use your mind to use your imagination. Never lose it. Never leave it. Leave it to someone else to decide for you what you can really decide for yourself. For instance, I was at a rehearsal with Miles, and he said to me one time at the 10, he said, "I want to just get this kind of groove, play something for me that will give me this groove." I played something. He says, "I like that. Remember that. Play that tomorrow at the sessions." Panic struck it, set in on me because I don't remember what I played.
Right.
When I got into the studio, we got to a point where things were grooving, and he said to me, "Remember that line I told you?" And I said, "Mm-hmm," knowing that I remember it. I said, "Okay, play it now." So I started to play something. He went, "That's not what you played before." He said, "But I like that. Play that."
Cool.
And I went, dodged a bullet. But it made me stop and think a lot
Yeah.
about what I could and could not, and why I could not reinvent this pattern, why I didn't stop to think about it, and maybe jot it down or whatever. But he didn't want me to go that far. As it turns out, he always what he was saying was like, "Yeah, you play something really hip in the spirit of the thing you played before."
Right.
And actually, it sounded better today what you played than what you did play before.
Right.
We don't need that. We need this. And keep thinking. Always lead. Always move forward.
Okay.
Never turn around and go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Billy, I really enjoyed my time with you today, and I incredibly appreciate your time. I know it's very valuable. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And Black Page readers, you can like, tweet, do all your social media stuff, comment, share with us your favorite Mahavishnu, George Benson, any song, Billy Cobham song. Love to hear from you, and leave your comments, and we'll see you later.